everyone to the Scale Challenge webinar. SCALE stands for Supply Chain and Logistics Enterprises. My name is Rosemary Truman. I'm the founder and CEO of the Center for Advancing Innovation. And we are orchestrating the SCALE Challenge in partnership with the Walton family, who is a large family office based out of the Northwest Arkansas area. So today we're going to go over a short introduction to the Center for Advancing Innovation. We'll walk through the platform that we use to launch companies, some of our past performance and case studies. We'll go through the challenge itself and talk about some of our challenge inventions. So just as an introduction to the Center for Advancing Innovation. So the first question I like to ask everyone is, what do these inventions have in common? You know, the treatment for childhood leukemia, the anti-HIV drug, GPS, LED lighting, the smartphone technology, Tempur-Pedic, the internet. Well, all of these inventions were developed from federal taxpayer investments. Every year, the United States spends $1 trillion on R&D, and only 0.0001% of it goes anywhere. However, you can see from this list, there's some very valuable inventions. For example, Tempur-Pedic. I love Tempur-Pedic. You know, that was developed out of NASA. Our GPS, developed out of NASA. LED lighting, NASA. Anti-HIV drug, NIH, the National Institutes of Health. The treatment for childhood leukemia, the National Institutes of Health. The internet was DARPA. So the point of this slide is to say there's a lot of value at stake sitting on the shelf. So we analyzed the opportunity at stake of the 250,000 federally funded inventions. Unfortunately, there's several barriers to finding these inventions, you know, discovering them, evaluating them, doing the deal to get them, and then to actually receive them. And then there are more challenges as well. What we have done at the Center for Advancing Innovation is we have systematically broken down all these barriers or pushed down all these barriers, tackled all these barriers to get these inventions, to perform due diligence on them, and then to commercialize them. And so going back to this 250,000 inventions, we did a study for Kauffman Foundation and found that if we could commercialize the top 1% of the inventions at a 90% failure rate, we could make a $1.5 trillion GDP impact on the US economy, which is about 7%. It's non-trivial. So as a result, the Center for Advancing Innovation, by the #1 magazine, a high-profile magazine in the life sciences space called Nature. We were called the Tinder for startups. They actually wrote an exclusive article on us. Bio is the world's largest life sciences membership organization. They called us a Shark Tank on steroids. And Wired, which I'm pretty sure everybody's heard of, called us the Kickstarter for IP. So what do? We have secured access to 170,000 inventions. We have over the last 28 years, I've worked on due diligence models. I have trade secrets on the due diligence models, and then we launch startups around the inventions. So through our challenge model, we've launched over 300 companies. I mentioned we have 170,000 inventions, which are part of the 100+ partnerships that we have. We also, this bullet here is extremely important. We pre-negotiate the licensing agreement for the invention. So for example, what you'll see as part of the SCALE Challenge, you're gonna see an electric car. Well, NASA spent a couple $100 million on that electric car, and the licensing agreement that our startups will get that car for nothing, pretty much, with a royalty income of about 4.25%. We've gotten a lot of awards for our model. We've had over 10 White House awards. We've had the highest innovation award that Health and Human Services gives out, called the Secretary's Pick Innovation Award. We've been listed in the Chicago Tribune, Washington Post, as you saw before, Wired, Huffington Post, and so on and so forth. And I've been on TV a lot. But the main thing that we're very proud of are our startups. Out of these 300 startups, we have 3 unicorns in the mix. Freenome is definitely a unicorn. I would encourage you to look them up. But these are inventions that are going to make an impact on the world. So how does a challenge model work? You need to form a team, submit an application. The application takes you maybe 5 minutes, and then you enter the challenge. When we have a rolling entry process, so as soon as you submit the application and we accept you. You're in the challenge. The first phase is the elevator speech phase in the scale challenge. So during the elevator speech phase, you're going to produce a 2-minute elevator pitch that's accompanied by a 350-word executive summary. And we're going to also help you augment your team. So normally people come in, they may have one person, may have 2 people, may have 3 people, but it's very important to put together the right team because investors will invest in the jockey, not the horse. So then we also provide training throughout the entire challenge. All the training is virtual. There are 40 classes, 12 company building exercises, and about 8 weeks of hot seats where you're actually going to pitch every week to practice and hone your skills on pitching. And so in this first phase, the elevator speech phase, again, it's just 2-minute video, 350-word executive summary. And also augmenting your team and taking the training. If you make it through that phase, you'll go into the business plan phase. You can see this purple here. In the business plan phase, you're gonna get a lot of additional training, a lot. You're gonna get more mentorship. You're gonna incorporate your startup. And the deliverables in phase 2 are a financial model, a business plan, and a live pitch. The business plan is 10 pages. The financial model includes a risk-adjusted NPV evaluation model and a cap table. And then we select winners. And then during the startup phase, we actually will host investor forums for you to pitch to a whole bunch of investors, and we'll have a final ceremony. It'll be fun. The working group sessions there, you can see there, those are those hot seats that I talked to you about. Those are pitch practice. So looking at it another way, one of our past challenges was called the space race. These were the inventions that were the topics of the challenge. And then you can see for each of those inventions, you'll have up to 12 teams, for example, in invention number 4, 12 different teams competing for that invention, 15 teams competing for that invention, and then startups. And we can create more than one startup for an invention. So you can see for invention number 4, we create 2 startups. And at the end of the day, we want to see exits. We want to see impact on the market. So why would you join the challenge? One of the reasons is because our accelerator training, it's the most robust accelerator in the world, according to the White House. And as I mentioned, you'll have 40 webinars on the business of STEAM. It's actually STEAM, not STEM, because we also include artists in the challenge. So the topics, some of the example topics are how do you incorporate your company, how to do R&D planning, business development, financial modeling, etc. 12 company building exercises. These are hands-on company building exercises. For example, building your financial model, developing your pitch deck, developing a stakeholder engagement plan, doing voice of the customer interviews, and also you will collaborate across your ecosystem. So we'll have an ambassador on the ground where you are, and then you'll be able to actually collaborate with them to have local support for your organization. You'll engage in different stakeholder groups and so on. And then of course, what we do is we put together some amazing mentors for you. And the mentors are provided in each team. They're going to provide you very valuable insights. Sometimes you need a mentor only for 1 hour and you have the world's best business plan. So how do we do what we do? We have lots of relationships. We have more than 100 relationships to get our intellectual property, more than 80 universities and hospitals, more than 25 corporate and foundation partners, 27 federal labs, 55 universities, and 300 startup champions. And then on the left-hand side here on this slide, you can see some of our relationships with the startup organizations. The intellectual property, or to receive intellectual property. And on the right-hand side, these are some of our corporate partners. So as an example, NEA is the world's largest investor, and they're based in Bethesda, Maryland, which is actually where we are. And Bio is the world's largest life sciences organization, and they are based in the DC area as well. Paragon is the fastest growing space company, and they're doing some really exciting things in space, but their founder, Grant Anderson, has inventions that are directly relevant to the scale challenge. So what have we done in the past? We are now in our 8th challenge. Last year we scaled our challenge by 10x, but we started our challenge in 2012, launched 11 companies. We doubled the size of the challenge. Next year, the Neuro Startup Challenge, and so on and so forth. And so we continue to expand in our 8th challenge now. But as I mentioned before, one of the most exciting parts of our model are the companies that we form. So you can look at the right-hand side over here and see some amazing companies. I'll just talk a little bit about the kite invention, which I really like a lot. Imagine replacing a windmill with an invention that costs 1,000 times less and generates 100 times more energy. That's the kite. It's very exciting. And I can tell you all about how it works if you're interested. So I mentioned at the beginning of the presentation, we have been called the Shark Tank on steroids, Tinder for startups, Kickstarter for IP. The White House called us the powerful innovation toolkit. And one of the large hospitals around here called us a super accelerator. I've already mentioned some of the accolades that we received, the awards, but two that I'd not mentioned yet that are pretty exciting is that, you know, when every presidency is done, there are these impact publications that come out. And the White House, the Obama administration put out a couple of impact articles. And we were listed as number 6 out of the top 10 things that happened in impact in entrepreneurship. And we were listed as number 36 out of the top 100 things that happened in impact. As I mentioned, I guess I didn't mention the Government Accountability Office Award. We've gotten a couple of awards from them, but we've most recently we've received the Best in Innovative Commercial Models. So let's dig into the Scale Challenge. So what is it? It's a challenge that features 20 inventions that will positively transform supply chain, transportation, and logistics. The outcome are 20 new companies using the inventions that we have as part of the challenge. We want to create knowledge-based jobs in new markets, amplify the entrepreneurial ecosystems, galvanize the region's resources, and address economic inequality. So in our challenges, 60% of the companies are co-founded by women and 80% are co-founded by minorities, which is really bucking the national average in the United States, at least. And so that's really important from the point of view of addressing the economic inequality. Also, 43% of our participants are from underserved, underprivileged ecosystems. All right, so if you want to come into the challenge, now's the time. As you can see, October 1st is the final day to submit elevator speeches. You can actually submit them up to October 14th, so we're giving you a little bit of leeway. But basically, after this webinar is over, you should all come into the challenge. Everybody should submit. November 5th is when we're going to announce the semifinalists, and that they're going to go into the business plan phase. And your final day to submit there will be January 31st for the business plan, and then the startup phase will occur. And we have some exciting news. Actually, we are going to shift our investor forum out to April 21st and 22nd. And basically that'll be the beginning of the Heartland Conference in Northwest Arkansas. So how can you participate? You could be an ambassador to galvanize the regional ecosystem, meaning you're helping to recruit teams essentially for us. Usually that's about 4 hours a month. It's normally done by somebody who already is in the ecosystem and knows everything about the ecosystem. And to be an ambassador, you basically will get 1% equity in all the companies that are formed as a result of your recruiting. You could mentor teams, you could coach teams related to a select invention. It's usually 2 to 4 hours a month. You could be an advisor. You could provide a 1 hour webinar on a topic that you're really good at. You could be a judge, which will be in 2020. You could be an investor if you want to. You can invest in some of the companies that participate in the investor forum, or you could be a cheerleader. And by the way, you can do all of these things if you want. The cheerleaders will help spread the word by posting the Scale Challenge in newsletters, social media, post on websites, present at conferences, and ongoing. So why do people participate in our challenge? They participate because they want the accelerator training. The accelerator training that we put on is free. Our accelerator is extremely robust. It goes over 8 months. So it's highly comprehensive. Did I say it was free? Yeah, it's free. Because normally accelerators do cost. you have the opportunity to expand your network. This is critical. I mean, we have teed up world-class people to introduce you to mentor you. We provide mentors. There's prize money. It's $2,000. So people don't come in for the prize money. It's not very much. But you also have the opportunity to launch a company to transform supply chains. All right. So, you know, supply chains these days, there's hundreds of billions of dollars lost in the supply chains. So you know, because a lot of people wonder, well, why supply chains? Because sometimes when people are designing in the supply, you know, for a product, they completely miss the mark. So they've developed something that nobody wants. And so as an example, $60 billion worth of clothes are put into landfills every year in the United States alone. And that's because they develop a design, a pattern for a piece of clothing that they can't sell. So these brand new clothes go into landfills. Then, you know, when something's produced, sometimes the forecast for what the sales are going to be is not in sync with what the demand is. So you might run out of things, or you might have way too many things. There's a lot of stolen and counterfeit problems in distribution. Things just get lost. And then when things are returned, a lot of times they just throw them away. So for example, at Lowe's, which is a kind of a hardware store, you can buy all kinds of things that if someone returns a plant to a Lowe's, they throw it away because they don't know where the soil's been. They don't want to introduce anything bad. But the point is that there's a lot of opportunity to improve the overall supply chain. So as an example of some of the inventions that we have in our challenge, in the distribution side of things, we have this drone here. This drone has a sensor on it that allows allows the drone to understand where it is relative to other things. Drones don't know if there's a car behind it, and the car is about to run into it. We have an electric car from NASA. This car can plug into a normal plug, and these wheels can turn at 360 degrees. So if you parallel park, you'll never have to parallel park again because you just turn it to the right angle and you slide right into the spot. Everything on that car is fail-proof. So if one thing breaks, something else takes over to allow it to continue. And it's expandable. This is a fabulous car. What you could do is you could charge that car wirelessly. So imagine, you know, in the United States, there's a lot of Teslas around and there's drones. And the big problem with drones is, of course, you have to recharge the drone because otherwise it's going to fall out of the sky. So some drones have piezoelectric materials which allow it not to have to get charged, but most drones require additional charge. Well, what if you could charge it wirelessly? And you could charge a Tesla wirelessly. What if you could charge anything wirelessly? I'd love to charge my phone wirelessly for sure. And when the phone's even in the next room. So these are a few of our inventions that I thought would be good to talk about. I'll give you a bit of a deeper dive here. You know, if you wanted to, for example, know where people are looking, a consumer is looking, what draws their eye more immediately, you could use a technology called Pin Me, which determines the location of where somebody is looking. It also allows you to have to know where you are without GPS. There's another invention we have called UAV Air Patrol, which navigates to your unmanned vehicle using radio frequencies to track and navigate. So again, without GPS, because a lot of times you're going to be in a location where GPS does not exist. I mentioned the self-navigation, you know, basically allowing a drone or something to know where it is relative to other objects. This is the problem, the unmanned vehicle can't get a convenient charge. This is the wireless charge. And again, one of my favorites, never have to parallel park again. So I'm going to pause there to see if you all have some questions on the scale challenge. The Scale Challenge is scalechallenge.org. That's the website for it. And I'm just going to open up to questions now.
This is Geneviève. I have a question. So thank you very much, Rosemary, for this information. This is very fascinating. The only thing is, my question to you is, this seems to be geared to organizations who are not in existence yet?
It's a two-way street. One way is that you can come in to the challenge and pick an invention that's a topic of the challenge and create a startup around that invention. You can also, if you already have your startup, select an invention and add that invention to your portfolio. A third model is that you could just enter your own company into the challenge.
Okay. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Yeah. I just maybe wanted to clarify something, or maybe just quickly add, and you can maybe confirm for us, Rosemary.
Okay.
If somebody has an invention that they're already working on and would like to kind of join as well, because of the opportunity from the accelerator, they can also join the challenge, right?
That's right. Thank you for that question.
May I ask you a question also, Rosemary? My viewpoint is, my focus is really on the SAS, software as a service. So therefore, what I'm also looking for is collaboration, because I believe that sometimes you need to have somebody focusing on certain part, mostly when it comes to logistic and the supply chain. I don't want to, I worked for GE. I never want to be GE. So therefore, looking at the model and also being able to, in that way, cover some of the SDGs is also something which is very important to me. So I've sent you a request on LinkedIn. I would love to have a catch up later.
Okay. All right. Be happy to.
Thank you. Yes, thank you.
You're welcome. Don't be shy. Now's your chance to ask a question. How many people are going to join? That's what I want to know.
So may I ask you a question? I actually do have one. Some of the, I think some of the inventions, I think will be very interesting in my point of view, also of seeing how they work in a place like Haiti. As a former scientist, one of the things I think that Haiti has is, being an island, it allows you to be able, mostly in the logistic and supply chain, to really test the transportation mechanism and also communication mechanism. Many case studies have always been done by creating them on islands, small Greek islands. So I think it's an opportunity to have some of the challenges really look at how those terrains can be done, because if we look at supply chain requirements in the next few years, it's really going to be coming in from places like Africa and Latin America, and like really that part of the world to the West, and being able to adapt these things to the communication style or the communication challenge or infrastructure challenges are very important.
I think that's an excellent point. So there could be an opportunity for all of you on the call to join an existing team also. So for example, if you want to come into the challenge, you don't want to lead your own team, you want to be part of another team, you could be like the implementation arm, the test arm, because you know all about very difficult supply chains, very difficult terrains, that where you could actually test some of these inventions to see how you can even make them more robust.
Well, thanks everyone. We'll be sure to send a copy of this recording out to everyone. And thanks Mark for organizing it.
Thank you. Have a great day. Thank you so much for coming. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you very much.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Bye.